Hey, good morning. Good morning. So I've moved into the living room this morning, and there's just such a beautiful, so much light here, and natural light. So just thought I'd be here now. So I want to thank you. I had a bit of a day yesterday with just I don't know what you would call it. Maybe some doubts, and stuff comes up for me. I can get caught in it too, and I just got lots of great notes from a whole bunch of you about the benefits of that me, doing this on a daily basis have had for you. So thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate that. It's funny that I only really have one message. And I mean, there's lots of ways of looking at it, but the message is that my thinking is, any opinion that I have is subjective. It's just based on my perception of the planet, of the world, and it's from my mind. It's from ego, and so my experience is that it can't be trusted. and and I don't think it matters whether I made $1 million or $100 million, or whether I uh, ended up with living in a shelter. If I'm coming from ego, it's the same. It's empty, and so. But if I'm coming from love, and it isn't just so black and white. I mean, it seems more black and white for me now than it ever did. But I mean, many of us are living in service and having, amazing lives, even if the reason we're living in service is because we were taught to. There's a different way to come at it, if you will, from a place of of awareness, and it's interesting that in the 12-step world, I mean, it teaches us. It really does. It When all else fails, we find somebody to help. If you really the shit hits the fan and we're caught up in whatever it is that is our demon, well, we find somebody else to help, and that for I'm very grateful that a lot of that happened for me yesterday. There's people up here that wanted help, if you will, and it's an endless supply, actually, of people who are looking to, especially when we're working in the drug and alcohol side of things, that the folks are, when they're lost in there, it's very dangerous, and for them, and so it's endless supply of people that want really to get out of there, to find sobriety, to find a new way to live, to usually they've metaphorically burned the house down. So anyway, my my hope is to keep going with this on a daily basis, and if anything, to share as many ways as possible for folks that come to listen, that they can access this power of now. And Eckhart Tolle did it so well. That the kind of the road in is I think it begins with when we realize that we really need to. Hi, Toby. The road in when we realize that it's not working, and sometimes we can. Thank you, love. I love you too. We struggle. We might struggle for years, and it seems like, if you're in your 40s or 50s, and you look back, and there's been great times in the mind, will only generally kind of, focus on in a way, on the great things, on the trip to Mexico, and the, often we focus on those things, and we don't remember how much we struggled, and kind of lived in fear, or that the mind sometimes failed us, if not always. So I think we have to come to a point where we realize, okay, I'm I can't, if I continue to live from the mind, I'm going to continue to live in struggle. And the illusion is that if I read enough books, if I do enough affirmations, I can hold it with enough focus. I can create, I can manipulate the system. And what I'm saying is that we can let go of that and live in oneness. We can actually live out our purpose from the center, as opposed from what we think we should have. And many of us got cast into a profession because somebody said we should do it, mom or dad, or so we're not really living our purpose. We're not living in our full potential. And so once we surrender and we say, okay, this is not working, easy for the addict and the alcoholic, because it's so obvious it's not working. But for a lot of us, after maybe our second divorce, and we're thinking, what the hell's happening? Or think we're in a job where we're like, oh fuck, thank God it's Friday. So we're not happy in those things, but we're doing them. But they're not as catastrophic as the life of the addict and the alcoholic. Who it's obvious because just got an impaired driving and all of those type of things. So the with the folks that aren't living in blatant addiction, it's sometimes easier to hang on to and think we can just become better at something. We just stick with it. It'll improve. And I'm saying that there's just this amazing possibility to live in our full potential by being here now. And it becomes a practice to be here now. And, through some of how we practice it is, when we meditate, in meditation, we actually practice being here now, and then become an observer of the thoughts. When fear comes up, we're like, oh, look at that. We see it. We're not in it. We don't get sucked into it. When anger comes up, when heavy opinion about what people should be doing. The little Toby said, the little liar. Yes. And so and so the folks that I'd like to work with are the folks that have had enough. Said, okay, but usually that doesn't last very long. They surrender and they say, okay, fuck it, I've had enough. And then circumstance improves a little bit. The wife says, okay, you can come back and live at the house, or things start to improve a little bit, and we're back running the show. Ego's back running the show, and it's so I don't know. I had to get pretty badly beat up to finally realize, even after 40 years of doing the work and looking for, I still wanted to run the show. And so almost 40 years. And so if you've had enough, the other thing that can help is continually being with people who are on the path, whether in the 12-step world, it's in meetings, or a smaller group of a smaller group. Let me see if I can put, there we go. My phone just rang, and it rang everywhere on my my wristwatch. Kids got me an Apple Watch this year. It's really great. On the laptop, on the everywhere. It's like multiple places. So uh, yeah, awakening. That's awakening, and it's not just awakening to, oh, I can't trust my mind, but then it's an awakening to, well, who am I? If I'm not my mind, if I'm not my story, if I'm not, who I thought I was, if I'm not Mrs. Jones, or kind of somebody's wife or somebody's husband or somebody's child or somebody's mother, or if I'm not all those things, I mean, in a way, of course I am all those things, but that's not really who I am. That's what I've done, and that's not who I be. Who is the beingness that and this is where self-realization, where we wake up, we say, oh my gosh, if I'm not all those things and I'm willing to let them go, that doesn't mean you have to quit your job. It doesn't mean that you have to leave your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or whoever. But what it means is that you wake up to the fact that you're not that. And a quietness, a stillness comes with that awakening. It's like, oh my God, if I'm not that, what am I? And most of the folks that are kind of in the self-help realm are trying to help you manage that. They want you to feel better about that. Well, in my experience, that doesn't work. Love yourself. What yourself are they talking about? What yourself? Love yourself. What yourself are they talking about? They're talking about the story of you, not the real you. For the most part, if they're talking about the real you, generally we're not hearing that. So nothing wrong with becoming self-aware as far as, how the illusion works, how in the system we have shame and guilt and fear. I mean, yes, come to know that so that you can let it go, not fix it. And the obsession with fixing you is, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Go to therapists. Who here has been to a therapist? God bless them. I mean, they're helpful. But ultimately, in the area of what we call spirituality, it's difficult for them to enter in, because it's not measurable in a way, but it is measurable in the 12-step world, because the 12-step world is based on spiritual principles, and it also mixes, personal awareness, finding out who you are. We delve into, what we've done, how resentment has killed us, how fear was interlocked in everything we thought and did, so that we could let go of it, not so that we could master it in a way from the ego, but we move into the moment. There's a prayer, like with resentment, God save me from being angry. There's a prayer around fear. God, take away my fear. Show me what you'd have me to be. And it begins to be removed right away. That prayer brings us into the moment, right? And so that's a great example. I love that program because it's a great example that works. That's measurable. Millions of people have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And the program says directly that there's no way we can, moral philosophies or we can't, self-knowledge will not take us out of it. It clearly says self-knowledge doesn't work. So I'm not talking about religion either. I'm talking about discovering the true you. Discovering the true you. So that's what I'm doing. I have a couple of questions for you guys. So I kind of like to do this full time. And I'm not financially independent, so I'm wondering, I'm looking at a program called Patreon where maybe people can throw $5 a month or something like that, so that I get to pay the rent. So I'm just bringing it up. If you have any thoughts on it, you know, that would, I don't want to, I don't know how to do it. So, but, eventually the Canadian government's been very generous to many of us this year to be able to stay home and I'm grateful for that. But that's going to kind of run out, and this has become something. So, yeah. Any thoughts on that? I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, look at Patreon. Tell me what you think of that, and just asking for some. How does that all come together? Yeah. Toby's saying, yes, that sounds like a win-win. What with the like Patreon? Like I'm just thinking, with people who like, lots of folks come back day after day, or they're on my YouTube channel on a regular basis, and that's growing. And and I don't want to impose on anybody, so I'm not talking about some big program, but like if 100 people gave $5 a month, it just adds helps to pay the bills. So, all right. I have trouble even. I watch myself. Just it's like, wow, that's ego that says that finds it difficult to talk about money. I do a little bit. I don't think I'm clear in that area. I still have old conditioning around that. Oh, okay. So Toby's saying she subscribes to Patreon with other things. Okay, awesome. Well, I will. I'll start that. I'm going to do that. So a couple of readings today. I wanted to do. I read a little bit out of this book yesterday. It was the ABCs of Enlightenment, and I've kind of enjoyed it. And I'm just going to pick something because that's what I thought. Just one word, and then we'll read we'll read this, and then we'll read the 24-hour day book. So this is a cute little book, Spiritual Dictionary for the Here and Now, from Osho. And the word I picked was freedom. Freedom, he says, is maturity. I already read this. I'll read it again. Freedom is maturity. License is very childish. Freedom, license. Freedom is possible only when you are so integrated that you can take the responsibility of being free. The world is not free because people are not mature. Revolutionaries have been doing many things down the centuries, but everything fails. Utopians have been continuously thinking of how to free mankind, but nobody bothers because man cannot be free unless he's integrated. Only a Buddha can be free. And that's the thing. I believe there is a Buddha in you, right? You are Buddha. Only a Buddha can be free. A Mahaviri can be free. A Christ, a Muhammad can be free. A Zarathustra can be free. So I think he's talking about awakened beings, some that I haven't even heard of. Because freedom means being aware. If you're not aware, then the state is needed. The government is needed. Police is needed. The court is needed. Then freedom has to be cut from everywhere. Then freedom exists only in name. In fact, it doesn't exist. How can freedom exist when government exists? It is impossible. But what to do? Oh, so he's, if we're integrated, if we're responsible, if we're mature, we don't really need rules because we're aware and we act accordingly. Our actions are appropriate and in maturity with freedom. Interesting what he's saying about freedom. Okay, today's the 14th, I believe. So we'll go here to January 14th from the 24-hour day book. I love this little book. It was written in the 40s and the 50s. And for that time, really the fledgling group of recovering alcoholics that were, you know, just realizing that they were onto something that was going to change the world. When we first came into the 12-step world, into AA, a sober life seemed strange. We wondered what life could be, what life could be possible, could possibly be like without ever taking a drink. At first, a sober life seemed unnatural, but the longer we're in the 12-step world or in AA, the more natural that way of life seems. And now we know that the life we're living in the 12-step world in AA, the sobriety, the fellowship, the faith in God, and the helping each other is the most natural way we could possibly live. Do I believe it's the way God wants me to live? Well, clearly. Meditation for the day. I will learn to overcome myself because every blow to selfishness is used to shape the real, eternal, unperishable me. Meditation, I'm going to read that again. I will learn to overcome myself. So I think he's talking about the ego. Overcome myself. Because every blow to selfishness is used to shape the real, eternal, non-perishable me. So yes, every time I become aware of ego and I let it go, I become more of the unperishable, the eternal me. This is the core of my message, really. If I overcome myself, I gain that power which God releases in my soul. I don't know if I gain it or I become aware of it. I realize it's there already. I too will be victorious, and I too will be victorious. It's not the difficulties of life that I have to conquer so much as my own selfishness. Yeah, all the problems are in the mind, baby. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may obey God and walk with Him and listen to Him. I pray that I may strive to overcome my own selfishness. In the God conversation, you guys, when we say, it's hard to speak of the universal intelligence, the now, the isness, the oneness, that, without personifying, without objectifying. And that's why religions since the dawn of time have created an image, because the mind wants something it can look at and say, oh, there's an image of God, but my sharing is beyond that. And I love what Bill Wilson said. Bill said, God either is or he isn't. Either he's everything or he's nothing. What's your choice to be? And I was like, I love that. Because that's it. Where is God not? I know what happens with the mind. The mind goes, but what do you mean? It's hard because we cannot conceive of that with the mind. So it's beyond the mind. Right? Okay. So we've done a little chat, we've done a little reading. My gosh, we've been at this for a little longer than normal today. I'm happy to be here with you guys. We're going to have a short meditation. Love it if you join me for a little meditation today. And just, wherever you are, unless you're driving, just close your eyes, right? Just close your eyes. Just drop in. Often I use the breath to bring me into the moment. When I focus on the breath, I'm here. I'm here with some focus on the breath. And then I will bring consciousness into the body and recognize that I'm sitting, that I'm in a body. The body's not me, but I'm actually in it. It's a borrowed vessel. Then I see my thoughts and I recognize that I'm not my thoughts. That I'm beyond thoughts, beyond the body. beyond thoughts, beyond the body, beyond all concepts, beyond beliefs, beyond the idea of male or female, beyond the idea of whatever you do for a living, whatever I do for a living, not to identify as this or that. No past, nothing's next, no future. Just drop into this moment, this second, this instant. No time. Just the stillness of now. Freedom of now. In meditation, we can touch on that space. It's beyond this. It's the emptiness. It's the expansion beyond the body. So feel any tension leave the body. We move into an expanded state of oneness. We are the breath. We are the room. We are the planet. We are all things in this moment. All is one. Okay, just come back when you're ready. There's no hurry. Take your time. Nowhere to go. Okay, love you guys. Love that if you Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Uh, let's build that thing. All right. Or share on it, or make comments. Tell me what you think about this Patreon thing as well. Okay. Love you.